Hello, everyone. I think we're live. We're live. Thank you so much, everybody. Welcome to our last of the calendar year 2020 Cloud Quarterly Update Webcast. I am with you, as usual, Matt Allison, Cloud Solutions Consultant. And today I'm really excited because I have a packed panel, first of all, of people for you guys to ask your questions of, and not to mention we have a lot of announcements, a lot of new products to demo, new vendors to demo, and let's get right into it. So first, I want to introduce the variety of people that are going to be on the call today. For those of you, if this is your first webcast or first quarterly webcast, to join us, what we like to do here is just update you on anything that's happening with D&H Cloud, any new vendors or any new processes, as well as just inform you for you to build out your cloud profession. And part of that is we like to take your questions. So for the next about 25-ish minutes, we'll be going over a couple of demos. Like I said, I have a live, I have a live demo prepared for you guys where we're going to go over Azure Plan, which is a new, the latest version of the Azure subscription, as well as some video demos from both Axcient and from Cameo. So with that in mind, I'd like to introduce my panel. So for everybody, just wave real quick. I have with us today Corey Hintz, who's from Sales Engineering at Axcient. We have Dustin Larson, who's in Pre-Sales Customer Engineer at Cameo. We're getting some feedback there. We have Rob Henshaw. He's also from Cameo. He's the CMO. And finally, we have Jason Veach, who is our Channel and Product Marketing Manager at Cameo. With that whole panel, they'll be able to pretty much answer any questions that you guys might have about their product. And that basically will be happening in just a moment when you get to see their product. Okay, without further ado, let's get right into it. Some of the announcements we have for you today. One of the, I would say the biggest announcements that we have are some of the new vendors. We get excited each time we bring on new vendors, but more importantly, these are vendors that we can officially announce that are now part of the platform, can be purchased as of today, and we're going to talk about a little bit of their product. So the first is ESET. Now ESET has been a cloud vendor for some time, but they have only just recently been finally adopted to our platform. So they have an antivirus or an endpoint protection product, really great. They have two levels of it, two tiers, a standard and an advanced, and they are both available today. Their endpoint protection product is available right now on the platform. Just search for ESET, that's ESET. And then followed by a great announcement, we officially now have Acronis backup and storage solutions available to you through the platform. Now, this one is, I think, extra cool because Azure is near and dear to my heart, and it is based on consumption. It seems your Acronis membership is also based essentially on consumption. So the way that this would work is if you or any of your customers would want to place an order for an Acronis subscription, you simply go in and I wanted to make sure I got the term right. It's called an Acronis Cyber Cloud Commitment. So you search simply for Acronis in the platform. It's a free SKU that essentially just creates that membership, that account. And then you would go into the Acronis portal to actually purchase any of their products and to deploy anything. This might actually sound pretty familiar to any of you out there who have worked with Azure at all, because that's pretty similar. As some of you know, in the cloud business, there really is a big difference between the per license seat software or services that you can order and the stuff that essentially it opens up a line of credit, and based on what you use is what your month-end bill is going to be. And Azure is a perfect example of that. We are very excited because, or I'm especially excited, because after we've been talking about it for months, we officially have rolled out Azure Plan as part of our platform. Now, what does that mean? So traditionally, when an Azure subscription was first theorized from Microsoft, we're going back 5, 6, 7, 10-ish years ago now, it was deemed a reasonably simple, direct business. You pay with a credit card, or if you were on some of their advanced licensing structure, you could buy credits and you could essentially afford the environment that way. This method, unfortunately, removed the two-tier distribution model that we at D&H and most of us in this indirect channel live and breathe by. That is that you have a distributor who provides you with the resources and the services that you need, but remains anonymous in that, because we are merely delivering you those services for your business to thrive and to grow. And this indirect model or two-tier distribution model was something that Microsoft wasn't necessarily quick to adopt until earlier, about a year ago, when Azure Plan was announced. Now, this required our platform manufacturer to adopt or to create an application to accommodate for the changes. But what essentially all the change means is that you, the reseller, are not removed from this administrative equation. In other words, when you order for your customer a brand new Azure subscription, based on the relationship that you have with that customer, you should get delegated administration for that subscription in the case that you are doing the actual deployment and service for that customer. And this is the entire methodology or the entire insight behind Azure Plan. So in order to order an Azure Plan subscription, there is a prerequisite. This is why I'm giving you kind of this story. We want all of our customers to move to Azure Plan, but in order to do so, there's a couple things you want to just make sure that you take care of ahead of time. These things were sort of optional in the world of Microsoft Cloud for some time, but when it comes to this particular plan, you absolutely need to make sure that you have your reseller relationship set up between yourself and D&H and yourself and your customer. This delegated administration, which is specifically what they call it, or admin on behalf of, is required in order to trickle down this level of administration that D&H is automatically given when the subscription is created. So let me just really briefly share my screen with you guys to show you exactly what exactly where you would find this information. So first of all, if you're not already familiar, get familiar with Partner Center. Partner Center is going to be your hub for all Microsoft Cloud needs moving forward. Even though you might purchase the licenses from D&H, the central management is essentially stemming from Partner Center. So it's good to make sure that you have all of these things just set up ahead of time. Specifically, you want to go under CSP. If you're enrolled in CSP, you'll see this on the left here. Select customers, find this link at the top here, request a reseller relationship. It will automatically generate an email for you. This is an email to, I don't know why that didn't come up. Of course it didn't come up because I'm live in a demo. I do this a million times a day. Okay, so normally this would come up with an email text below here. I don't know if you guys saw that. I closed that very quickly, but it seems Microsoft might be having issues and their timing couldn't have been better. So I can't show you the actual link, but there is normally email text right here, I promise you. And within this is a URL unique to your organization and your customers. This is a link that you would provide directly to your customer, or we know in a lot of reseller customer relationships, you may already have this administrative access to their account. Well, this is merely just confirming that relationship as far as Microsoft is concerned. So make sure you at least copy and paste that link, send it to your customer, or you can use this whole email you're free to when you actually can see the text. Once those relationships are created, there's one extra step, and that is the creation, if not already created, and the addition of particular users within your Azure Active Directory security groups. Now, I know, if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm really going down a rabbit hole here, but it's really not that difficult. Essentially, what you would want to do is get into your Azure Active Directory admin center, and there are a lot of ways to get there. But the one I'm talking about in particular is the one that yours. It's your MPN. It's the ability to see the users that have access to this Partner Center network here. Within that directory, which, by the way, you can reach by simply going to portal, I'm not going to type that in, portal.azure.com/your-tenant ID, which is, again, that would be something you should already know, but that is your .onmicrosoft.com ID. Once you're in there, find your security groups, see if you have one called admin agents. If you don't, you have to create it and add at least a single user into it. you only ever have to do this once. Once that's done, what you've done is you've set up your account so that when you come in here and you want to create or you want to place an order for a customer, let me just show you in this particular demo. So here we are as if I'm signed into a reseller's account like yours. This D&H Cloud Solutions demo would be your account at the top level, each of your customers listed below. I'm going to select this demo account here that we're going to add an Azure subscription to. So I've already added an Azure tenant. This is required ahead of time. Obviously, I made this up. This is, by the way, the tenant ID I was referring to before. Whatever this character is here is unique to your organization, .onmicrosoft.com. And you're going to select their account, click on click on New Service, select Azure Plan, which you can search. It's right here. You can start searching for Azure if you like. As soon as I click on Azure Plan, the API that we have, Microsoft immediately starts talking to see if they already have an Azure Plan. It is one of the limitations right now. You can only have one Azure Plan per tenant, according to the current terms and conditions. So may change in the future. That's how it is today. The single tenant that is under this account is already selected, so we can move right by to next, agree to the terms and conditions. And then we get to the real crux of the situation here, which is the configuration screen. Now, the first one here is if you have any customers with existing legacy Azure subscriptions, it's as simple as clicking this box and making sure that this subscription name stays the same as what it is today, and this will override existing legacy subscriptions. Once you're done with that, and you give it a name, then you select from these boxes which users you actually want to grant that delegated administration I was mentioning before to. So the first box here is the end user. You simply click the name, it'll move over to the right box over here. Make sure you scroll down though and get to the reseller here and do the same thing under the reseller. Now this is a fake tenant that I just made up, so I didn't do any of the prerequisite stuff by creating a security group because I'd have to buy licenses and stuff. So this would normally include those users. You do that to move it over. Click next through the next two windows. And generally speaking, that is it. Now, one of the things that I kind of breezed by there, and I want to make sure is very clear, especially to those of you out there who might be thinking, well, I've been ordering Azure subscriptions for my customer. What's the difference? So I breezed by this. Let me make it really clear. The biggest difference is the cost management tools. They have very robust cost management tools inherent in the Azure Resource Manager. These are available to all direct accounts and have been since day one, but frustratingly, indirect CSP accounts have not had access to those same tools. And therefore, we have developed various reporting tools available to you for all of those legacy subscriptions. Those of you who have them are familiar with them. There are graphically generated ones via Power BI or just raw data that you can download into an Excel spreadsheet. But there are no real easy projections. It's difficult unless you do the math to determine what their month-end cost is going to be after the first week based off of their current usage. Those functionalities are available to Azure Plan subscriptions. So that is the big one. On top of that, it's a much easier tenant to manage. It's a much easier subscription to manage. You can develop a practice using a lot of various Azure tools, which if you're interested, contact cloudtech@dnh.com. We can go over them in detail. But the short version of it is multi-tenant management. With Azure Plan, it allows you to branch out and develop your multi-tenanted business easily without having to navigate through a ton of different portals and a ton of different admin centers. So that is the demo in a nutshell. I went just under 15 minutes, and that is good. I wanted to make sure that I gave enough time for the for the demos. I'm not sure how to share my screen now. There it is. Or unshare my screen. Okay. Hey, live television. What can I say? So we're going to move right into our next demo, which is from Cameo. Cameo is a fantastic application virtualization new partner of ours. I'm really excited. I haven't actually seen this video myself, so I'm just going to be quiet, click go, And remember, all of this is a lot of information that we're throwing at you quickly. I actually do see a notification, so it looks like questions are coming in. But remember, submit your questions now. We're going to have a whole lot of time, hopefully, here to answer them all. And we want to hear back from you. We want to hear feedback. So please make this interactive. Ask all the questions. And without further ado, let's go on with Cameo.
Hi, I'm Dustin from Cameo, and today I'll be showing you how Cameo enables you to simply and securely deliver any Windows application to any device from the browser in one seamless digital workspace. Cameo is available as a fully hosted service on either Azure or GCP, but can also be self-hosted in any other cloud, hybrid, or on-premises environment. Cameo is designed to help you right-size your customer's desktop and application virtualization strategy. While some people in an organization may need full virtual desktops, a majority of users simply need secure access to all of their business-critical Windows apps on any device so that they can stay productive from anywhere. That's where Cameo comes in. And with Cameo, you can have your customers up and running in hours, or less. Let's dig in and show you how easy it is to publish your first application. The first thing we need to do is create and connect to our server. So I'll simply go to the servers list here, click Add, and if you didn't already have a server created, you'd be able to select your server from a list of regions here for fully hosted, or if you'd rather self-host, you can click here to get information on how to install Cameo on your own server. But since I already have a server, I'll simply go here, select the server to go into the server details page, and then click on the admin button to connect to the server as admin. Once we've connected to the server, what we need to do is just download and install our application. So I'll simply open up a web browser. And in this case, we'll go with an example of installing Notepad++. So I'll just search for Notepad++ here. Go to the website. And we'll download the 64-bit installer in this case. Then we'll run the installer once it's finished installing. And this installation process would be exactly the same as you installing it on any Windows desktop or server. No differences here. So now that it's installed, I'll go ahead and open the application and test it out. So you can see here I can select, highlight, type, click on anything I want, and it'll do all of the normal functions. So it's working properly. So let's go ahead and close these. Now I'll just click on refresh on the publish your apps window. And now in the recently published section, I see Notepad++. So all I have to do is check the checkbox, click apply, and it'll publish Notepad++ for me. And you see here I have a notification box about that. So we're done here on the server. I'll close the tab, taking us back to the admin console. Next, I'll go to the apps page, where we can see that Notepad++ has been successfully published. Now that we have the application published, how do we get the app to the users? There are two main methods of delivering an application, through the Cameo portal or by a link. Here in the app details page, you can see the direct link to this app. Any user in your organization who goes to this link will be able to run the app, like so. Once the app is loaded, you can use the app just like if you had it installed on your own computer. But instead of needing a Windows PC to run the app, you can run it from any device that has a web browser, like a Chromebook, Mac, or Thin Client. As you can see, the app runs smoothly and has all of the functionality you would expect from the app. Not only are apps easy to use with Cameo, they are also secure. By using RDP over HTTPS, we avoid all the security risks that having an RDP port open to the internet would entail. In addition, Cameo also provides custom save and open dialogues that allow easy access to the storage methods of your choice, such as OneDrive, Google Drive, Dropbox, local storage, network file servers, or even downloading the file to the local desktop. And Cameo isn't just limited to productivity applications either. You can run powerful applications like Photoshop, ERP applications, or even 3D applications with a GPU-enabled server. For example, here's an instance of AutoCAD by Autodesk. Again, you have all the same functionality of the application running on a high-end workstation, while using the app from, say, a laptop at home or at your favorite coffee shop. And that's how simple Cameo makes it to securely and cost-effectively deliver all of your business-critical Windows apps to any device at scale. To learn more about how Cameo can help you right-size your approach to desktop and application virtualization, contact your D&H Cloud rep and sign up for our next webinar on Wednesday, January 20th, where we'll provide a more in-depth walkthrough of the Cameo platform.
So I thought that was awesome. Hopefully you did too. I actually wrote down January 20th because that was really great. I know we got a lot of questions actually while that video was playing, so we will address those. There's going to be a Q&A for that. I might have a question or two for myself. So I'm going to save all of that and let's get right on to our next demo. Excited for this one too. This is Axcient's demo on their the new X360 Direct to Cloud tool. So here it is.
Hi everyone, my name is Corey Hintz. I am the Sales Engineering Manager here at Axcient. Today I just want to go over Axcient X360 Recover. This is going to be our BCDR, or Business Continuity and Disaster Recovery offering. One thing we've noticed here at Axcient is the more and more common kind of fractured MSP tech stack that we are seeing. Now, this is not pointing any fingers to the MSP necessarily. This is kind of the outcome of MSPs adopting clients that might have their own mixed product stack already, so they're kind of being forced into adopting it to eventually make a change or just kind of leave it as is. Or also furthermore, the need to offer different tiers or different level of backup services can also play in that. So you might have the need, on the left-hand side here, to back up, your endpoints. So these are typically going to be file folder level backup, not going to be full image-based generally, and that's going to be your kind of lower end, backup or data protection tier, if you will. And then it just kind of moves up from there, kind of evolves into the no appliance BDR. So this is going to be still offering you business continuity, but it's going to be in a limited fashion depending on how it is optionally configured or deployed into any kind of given client network. And then fast forward a little bit, you have your turnkey or full service BDR. This is going to be offering you full business continuity feature sets. So this is generally going to involve dedicated resources on standby. So in the event you ever do have any kind of disaster recovery need, you are very, very easily able to bounce back from that with a turnkey BDR offering, just due to how it is essentially putting you into kind of a proactive state with the allocated resources being provisioned to it ahead of time and dedicated to it in the event it is ever needed. And then fast forwarding a little bit kind of into the future, and what we're seeing just kind of gradually pick up is public cloud. So we're seeing a pretty steady kind of adoption rate with public cloud with client networks. And this is generally leading to more hybrid networks. So you're going to have your basic on-prem services, your servers, your virtual machines, whatever have you on-prem, mixed with public cloud infrastructure, whether it's AWS, Azure, or Google, and you're really put it into the position where you are either wanting to have that type of network, or you are going to be gradually moving entirely to the cloud and essentially just getting rid of everything on-prem. So that can really lead to really needing a lot of different solutions or different products depending on what type of service you are looking to back up or a tier of backup you want to provide to your clients. And that can just lead to a lot of vendor bloat or vendor sprawl. And it just leads to more not only hard costs, but also soft costs, training, time, manageability, the building different processes out for each different solution. All that kind of takes time and all that takes more cost. So here at Axcient, we are really changing the game here. So we are looking to provide every single one of those types of backup needs under one product. And that is going to be X360 recover. So again, you have the ability to back up your endpoint. It's going to be able to give you full business continuity, a full traditional BDR and a more modern BCDR type of offering. And then fast forward into 2021, we are going to be developing a public cloud backup for AWS, Azure, and Google. Changing gears here, I want to just go ahead and jump directly into the X360 Recover Vault. So this is going to be your offsite or replication target. This can live in your own data center or your own colo or our data center, either way, or even both simultaneously. So a lot of flexibility here. And then from here, as soon as you log into it, it's going to show you a list of all of the individual endpoints, whether they're physical systems, virtual systems, workstations, or servers, does not matter. They're all going to show up here in the same way. And then you're going to be able to get some pretty good high-level information pertaining to each system and which schedule you have assigned to each endpoint you are backing up. And you are able to create your own schedule here very, very easily. You can create your own schedule per client or per endpoint if needed, and you're able to have a backup interval as often as every 15 minutes, all the way up to one backup per day or anywhere in between very, very easily. And then from here, you're able to go into the details page for any given system that you are backing up. And this is where you're able to modify the offsite retention. So this could be set to whatever you like. This could be 7 days, this could be 7 years, 10 years, really whatever you like. And then further down here below, these are going to be your individual snapshots themselves. So anytime you ever need to do any kind of data recovery, whether that's just a simple file folder restore or a full image-based type of environmental recovery type of operation, you will be able to have access to those types of processes or whatever type of data retention or recovery you might need for any kind of given scenario you might have. Mount is going to allow you to mount the contents of any given snapshot, to dig into any directories or folders that you might need, and you have the ability to very easily download those. And export gives you the option to export into a variety of virtual image formats here very, very easily. And then I want to kind of change gears here one more time and just kind of go into the manageability and virtualization of your protected system by our solution. So this is going to be your management console. So this is known as the RMC, or Remote Management Console. This is where your single pane of glass, like portal, is going to be. So this is going to give you your high-level statuses, your backup status, your backup failure. Those kinds of things are all going to be given to you here for every single client of yours. And here in the top right corner, you have a Browse Clients button, and I'm just going to go ahead and go into one of my client sites. So going into one of my client's dashboards here, you're going to be able to see more granular type of notifications or statuses for this specific client. So as you can see, I do have one system here that is in a troubled state, so you would need to investigate this a little bit further to see what might be going on. But in the event you ever need to virtualize any kind of system for this given client, again, I have chintz up here. Imagine this was Acme Dental or Acme Lawyer, client name here. But in the event you ever need to virtualize any kind of endpoint for that client, you hit the recover button here in the top right corner, and a dialog window is going to pop up here, and you're going to be able to click on Make It Virtual, and you're going to start a virtual office. So this is going to do just that. This is going to start a virtual environment or a virtual office for those systems, however many they might be, to all be connected into that same virtual network. And you have the ability to make it a test or make it live production. So for today, I'm just going to go ahead and make it a test. And then here, you're able to toggle which data set you would like to enable for this virtual office. So I'm just going to choose Direct to Cloud here. I'm going to go ahead and give it a gateway to assign to this virtual office. And you just hit Start Virtual Office here. So this is going to take a minute for it to establish. And then from here, you're very, very easily able to go into your endpoints that you want to virtualize, and you can allocate CPU cores, RAM utilization that you want to give each virtual machine. You're able to modify different subnets, VPN rules, and port forwarding rules from that virtual office as well. So with that, guys, that's about all the time we have today. If you have any further questions, again, my name is Corey Hintz. I manage the sales engineering team here at Axcient. I look forward to any questions you might have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Recorded Corey. That was a really great demo. We got a lot of questions that came in for that too. So good news, everybody. We are at our Q&A portion for the day. So I want to re-welcome Corey, Dustin, Rob, and Jason. I think we don't have Jason. So we have Corey, Dustin, and Rob. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Hello, hello.
Hey, thanks for having
everyone.
Hey guys.
So I'm going to get right into it. We got a lot of questions during each of those demos, so I'm just going to start spitting them off, and I'm just going to kind of go around the table. So starting off, let's just start with number one. So we got a bunch of Cameo questions, and a lot of them are related. So I guess the best way to ask this question is, well, the way that the first question is asked is, how does Cameo compare to other virtual desktop or DaaS offerings?
Yeah, absolutely.
I guess that's a pretty general question of way of asking it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it, and it's a great question. So we get that all the time. So right now, the industry's kind of talking about this category as digital workspaces as like the broad umbrella, and underneath digital workspaces, you have like the VDI approach, virtual desktop approach. You have the DaaS approach, and then you have virtual application delivery, which is what Cameo does. So the core difference is that we are not a virtual desktop. And the reason why I call that out is not to say that virtual desktops are bad or that they're not useful. They certainly are for the segment of your users who truly need a full virtual desktop. Traditionally, that's a small subsegment of your users who are power users who truly need a full virtual desktop. A majority of users in an organization typically just need access to a handful, usually 8 to 10 business critical applications that they, legacy Windows apps, internal web apps, whatever they may be, that they need to access from any device, anywhere, just in this really simple digital workspace where they can access everything. So that's our approach. So what Cameo is the solution for the rest of your organization, the folks who don't need a full virtual desktop experience. We focus specifically on the secure delivery of business critical applications.
So that's a great point. So let's make that clear then. At this time, Cameo does not offer a virtual desktop experience. It's just remote applications, essentially?
That's correct. Yeah. Okay. So we're not a virtual desktop. We're not VDI. We're not DaaS. We are virtual application delivery.
So how would you compare your product with something like Remote App in Azure?
So Remote App, okay. Well, Remote App was deprecated a while ago, I believe, right?
Yeah, but
that aside, yeah. So we are RDP based. We sit on top of RDP. I'll kick it to Dustin for the kind of the technological differentiation between the way that we operate and the way that Remote App used to operate. Dustin?
Yep, no problem. So there's a few differences. Like Rob said, we work on top of remote desktop services as kind of the delivery part of it. But the way that it's encapsulated and the way that it's managed and the way that it's all set up, that's the differentiator. So with traditional remote desktop, you just have a direct connection using remote desktop protocol between the computer, the endpoint, and the server that's hosting it. And because of that, you generally have to leave that port open if you allow access from outside your firewall, and that's a security risk. So what we've done is we actually encapsulate that remote desktop communication over HTTPS. And so what that means is we don't have to have the remote desktop, the ports open. And not only that, because it's using HTTPS, it's also encrypted. It has full authentication from point to point, and everything that's included along with that. So that's security is definitely a differentiator there from traditional, terminal services, remote app kind of applications. Plus ease of setup, right? You don't need to have firewall ports opening in order to allow the remote desktop ports. It just works, right? Because you already have your network set up to allow HTTPS communication. Otherwise, the internet's not going to work. So it's just kind of like a plug and play sort of thing.
Yeah,
and that's a great point. Yeah. And then we can go into the specifics of how you even set it up, but I think the demo did a pretty good job of showing like, this is easy. This is not like some complex thing. You just create a server, install an app on it, publish it out, boom, you're done.
Great. All right. Well, I don't want to leave Corey there. I have a similar question for you, Corey, that I just gave Cameo. And I have a question of my own based off of this question. The question is, how does direct to cloud compare to other similar solutions in the industry? And my question is, as far as just a terminology for a point of clarification, it looked like the total title was X360 Recover Direct to Cloud. Mm-hmm. I just want to, if we get a clarification there, if the only direct-to-cloud product that you have is this X360 Recover, or if there's anything else you'd want to mention.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, great question. Makes sense. Yeah, so X360 Recover is our flagship business continuity and disaster recovery offering. We have also recently launched a direct-to-cloud or appliance-less variant of that solution. So that is what today's kind of referring to. So just to answer in short, there are two different forms of deployment for X360 Recover. That is your more traditional appliance-based deployment. You put a dedicated hardware at each client network or client site, giving you just kind of the spare resources on standby in the event you ever need to do any kind of disaster recovery. Very, very easy, very quick. And then with direct to cloud, it basically bypasses any need to have any kind of appliance on-prem. So if the scenario dictates where that is more beneficial or more effective, for any kind of given client site, it basically just replicates from your source backup target directly to the cloud or to your own data center very, very easily.
Okay.
And
that pretty much answers. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah.
I was going to say the next question is pretty much what you're saying there, which is what are the main benefits of direct to cloud? So if you were to just bullet point, what are the main benefits?
Yeah, absolutely. So direct to cloud, kind of in its own title, is obviously a big one there. But it is going to be a pretty unique variant of that compared to the rest of the market, where it is a full image-based direct to cloud backup offering. That's going to apply to laptops, workstations, servers, virtual machines, all of them the like are all going to be full image-based backups or snapshots. And then you will be able to do bare metal recovery, virtualize in the cloud very, very easily with that as well.
That's awesome. And you can, correct me if I'm wrong, but can you bring your own cloud? In other words, like if you had an Azure subscription, would you be able to use a storage account on an existing subscription?
So you are able to actually deploy your own private cloud network. It's to have the actual virtual environment. Right now, we've fully certified VMware-based hypervisors. So Hyper-V-based hypervisors are coming. But yeah, so the current state right now is VMware fully supported.
Great. All right, guys. I'm going to get back to Cameo here in just a moment. Let me cover some of these I know I can answer. Some of the I got a bunch of questions, just from my announcements of Acronis and ESET. So I will do my very best to answer this. So some of these questions, honestly, thank you everybody for your questions, but I don't know. You're going to have to email cloudsolutions@dnh.com. For example, does ESET have an MSP offering? I'm not exactly sure specifically what you're referring. So if you wouldn't mind, Jeff, just email cloudsolutions@dnh.com. We're positive to get you an answer, but I didn't know how to answer that question for you. There were a couple questions actually about just how to enroll in Cloud Solutions, which is great to me because I had just assumed, the majority of our viewers for these quarterly webcasts were existing cloud customers. But thank you so much to each and every one of you out there who does not currently have a D&H Cloud membership with us. We want you to sign up and we will help you the whole way through. So yeah, first of all, for general information, go to dnh.com/cloud. If you'd like, if you'd like to ask some questions, if you'd like to schedule any kind of meeting with us or something like that to get the ball rolling, you can do so. I've already mentioned cloudsolutions@dnh.com. My team, which it comes from more of a pre-sales technical perspective, you can always reach us at cloudtech@dnh.com. And like I said, if you go to dnh.com/cloud, that will at least get you to the enrollment form so that you can join our program. That also accounts for Frank. Thank you so much for your question, but I actually don't know. He says that he is an existing Acronis partner. So how does the relationship work with the existing ones? This was mentioned, but there was no order process delivered to me, at least in our discussion. But I do know that it is a possibility. It would probably just involve including Acronis in that process. Like always, reach out to us and we'll address that. Another question here is whether or not Azure Plan will actually work with Azure Gov. As of today, that's a great question. As of today, no. So that is a very clear distinction. Microsoft is moving a lot of their products into the MSP indirect world, and they're doing it slowly. But the programs are slow coming. And right now, the majority of what we have is commercial. And so this is part of that discussion too. Azure Plan currently only available in commercial. Okay, guys, let's move forward with some more questions for you. Cameo. That's a little open-ended. So let me give you a little more specific question here. Oh yeah, we definitely want to cover this. There was a couple questions about this. Can you cover Cameyo's cost structure, please, and how it compares potentially to all the alternatives?
Yeah, absolutely. So with Cameo, we are a per user per month pricing model. So and important to recognize that this is another thing that's different than us and some of the other application providers, virtual application providers, is that with Cameo, the per user per month cost includes, if you're doing the fully hosted version of Cameo, that includes RDS CALs, and that includes cloud usage. So if you're doing the fully hosted version of Cameo, which is currently available on either GCP or Azure with AWS to come soon, if you're doing the full hosted version, the per month per user pricing includes RDS CALs, includes cloud usage. You're not going to have a surprise bill at the end of the month, with like usage cost, where you're going to be surprised based on how much your users have utilized the system. So it's a very flat model there. And then from a self-hosted model, obviously, if you're self-hosting it on premises or whatever, then in that case, the RDS CALs and cloud usage are not included. Those will be handled by you, of course.
Awesome. Corey, similar, if not same question. I have a lot of questions asking about X360's pricing. If you can cover however you like there, how that works.
Yeah, absolutely. So the pricing, we like to just simplify things whenever technologically possible. So our pricing model is extremely simple. It's just per endpoint based. And it's also going to provide unlimited cloud storage and unlimited retention for a set price. So you don't need to worry about having any kind of overage fees or any a huge growth per gigabyte, 20 cent or whatever model. It is just going to all be rolled into one flat price per server you are backing up with unlimited storage, unlimited retention.
Awesome. I got a couple questions here I can handle very quickly. Jeff, the question of whether or not you can have multiple CSP agreements. Excuse me. Yeah, if you can have CSP agreements with multiple distributors, absolutely, hands down, yes. What I was referring to before in terms of the trickled down administration, I was specifically referring to the ownership of the subscription, the Azure subscription that's created. That prerequisite step where you establish the reseller relationship in Partner Center creates a delegated administration for the directory and general account management. That is something that you can have multiple distributors, you can have multiple indirect providers, and then your customers can have multiple CSP providers as well. It's just a matter of verifying that you are one of them. The extra step for this, again, was exclusively specific to the subscription level of authorization. We need to do extra special to get you access to that. Okay. Real quick, going back to Cameo, could you give us a brief comparison between the benefits between your various deployment options, specifically between fully hosted versus self-hosted or on-prem?
Definitely. Dustin, you want to take the first shot of that?
Sure, no problem. So like Rob mentioned earlier, the pricing is obviously different. With the fully hosted, we manage everything, including the CALs and the server and everything, so the price is higher for that. So if you already have your own servers in a data center or in your office, or even if you just want to host it yourself in the cloud, you can do that, and the price is going to be a lot lower than if we host it for you. But obviously with the fully hosted, you don't have to deal with any of that stuff. So a lot of especially the smaller customers, like the fully hosted solution, because it's just all wrapped into one. All they have to do is pay us, the price, we get everything set up, and then they install the wrap, so they're good to go. The other thing would be not so much self-hosted versus fully hosted, but cloud hosted versus on-prem, right? So if you have it on-prem, there's usually a little bit more configuration for the firewalls for people who are outside your network to be able to get into the server that you're hosting there. Whereas in the cloud hosted side, it's usually a lot easier to connect up to it. And then with the on-prem, that means you can easily connect up to any network resources, like if you have an on-prem file server as well, or whatever that you want to hook up to that with, like a map drive. That's a lot easier than if it's up in the cloud, which you can do, but you need something like a VPN or something like that for it to work. So those are some of the differences. But on the whole, besides those differences, they're pretty similar.
Awesome. Yeah, one other thing to note is that with the fully hosted version, we do have dynamic elasticity built in. So if you're a large organization that you want to make sure that, hey, I want to make sure that I'm not running dozens of servers 24/7 when they aren't being utilized. We dynamically spin up and spin down servers based on utilization to make sure that we're controlling costs.
Awesome. And that isn't reflected in the bill. That's just a matter of your organization's management. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Exactly. Yeah. So we remove the cloud usage is all taken care of on the fully hosted side. So that's not reflected in the bill. Correct.
Corey, I have an Axcient question here referring to integration. Specifically, will Axcient integrate with Wasabi cloud storage and backup?
No, it will not. So it does need to be replicated to a dedicated recover operating system at the receiving target. Whereas Wasabi is only going to be able to provide, cold storage or, blob essentially storage.
I see. So it needs to be a functioning file server essentially as the target.
Yeah, essentially. Yep, exactly.
With the application running. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Cameo, I got a trio of questions here from Rodney. He, I think, nailed some really good questions here. So I'm going to ask all three at the same time. I think they're related. First of all, I'm not sure if this is something the two of you know off the top of your heads. I actually probably should know this, but do you know, is the Cameo product currently sold through the D&H Marketplace? In other words, do we have an API or some other order process set up with you? We do. I see you nodding. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. We are available in your marketplace.
And how does that work? Do they create an account through the product and then go to the Cameo portal to deploy the services or applications, and then they get billed after? If you can explain that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I actually haven't seen the process for how to sign up and work through that, so I actually don't have a good answer for that. I know that Jason Bystrock has got us set up in the marketplace, but I don't know. Yeah, I have not been through the process, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, those are the little the specific details I wasn't sure if you guys would know, but Rodney obviously reached out to us because clearly it's new to the platform, and so we're not all 100% sure of the process. It just takes a quick email and we'll look that up. But he also asks, and I know you touched on this briefly, but how are licenses managed in Cameo in terms of third-party licenses and et cetera? Yeah.
Dustin, you want to take that?
Yep. So licenses are kind of two things. One is the server side of things, right? The client access licenses and the server license and all of that. So on that side, as I mentioned, fully hosted, we manage all that. and it's self-hosted. You guys, the customer would manage that. But then there's the application licensing as well. The application licensing is going to be the same whether you're hosting it or we're hosting it. It's just going to be you license it however you would normally license it. So there's usually not a whole lot of complication to it. For example, we have a school district that's using Cameo to host it, and they are hosting Adobe Creative Cloud. So when the student launches Photoshop, it'll just prompt them to sign in with their school district account, and it lets them in and lets them run it. So, and that'll vary depending on the application, how the application licensing works.
Awesome. Then finally from Rodney, is there a partner agreement to sell Cameo product?
Yes, through D&H, yes.
Okay. So that's pretty straightforward. And then finally, I do see Rodney received this answer, but I think it would be important for everybody to hear. Can macros be used through the Cameo tool?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so with Cameo, it's important to note that we are delivering the full desktop version of whatever application you're working with. So a common example is with the Office 365 version of Excel doesn't support macros. With Cameo, we're delivering the full desktop version of Excel. So yeah, you can definitely use macros through Cameo.
I should put in a little caveat there. If the web browser is using a keyboard combination, it'll capture it before sending it on. So you just got to make sure that the macros don't overlap between like Chrome and Excel, for example.
Yeah, good point.
Great. Okay, so we're getting close to time, but we have time here. If you guys have any other questions, we do still have a few more minutes. Submit them now. We're down to our last couple here, so let me just shoot them over, and then we can wrap all this up. So I have one last question here for Cameo, which is simply another integration question. In other words, how are users managed? I'm just going to read the question, not try to interpret it. How are users managed? Can it integrate into Jump Cloud?
I can take that one. So,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So the way that users are managed in Cameo can be either one of two ways. Either you just manage them directly inside of Cameo. There's a users page for the admin. You can create users and assign them to groups or whatever. The alternative, which is vastly more commonly used, is to integrate with some kind of single sign-on provider like Google or Azure AD, Okta, things like that. And so once you have that set up, then when a user signs in, it will automatically create a user inside of Cameo if they don't already have one, and let them in, and they can just use that rather than having to use a Cameo username and password. I'm not sure specifically about Jump Cloud though.
Great. Does Cameo support QuickBooks? Quick question.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I know that's going to be a popular one. That's
yeah. We've got a ton of QuickBooks users, so yeah.
Yeah, I bet. Okay, well, you know what? Thank you, everybody. That, I think, is going to do it for our questions. So let me just wrap up very briefly by, once again, thank you, everybody, for joining us, because this is our last webcast for 2020. 2020 is finally over, thank God. And, we're going to be continuing these in the next year. But I just wanted to say, from a personal note, thank you, everybody, for attending. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. We're going to catch you next year. A couple of announcements. Our first webcast of 2021 will be featuring Cisco. So we don't have it. Oh, we do. It's currently scheduled for January 21st. So keep a lookout for registration links. They normally come out, just shortly after the previous month's webcast. So come back to D&H.com for that. As usual, as I've mentioned before, D&H.com/cloud for cloud information if you'd like to sign up or anything like that. I barely touched on it, mostly because of our audience and the awesome questions that we had. But we have our DaaS program as well, or our X as a service. If you'd like to know more about that, which incorporates all the vendors that we talked about today, as well as our hardware vendors, please reach out to cloudsolutions@dnh.com, or you can go to dnh.com/DaaS, DAAS, and you can go to that as well. That does it for all my announcements. So I want to, again, guys, you've been great. I thought we had some really good questions, and you guys did really well answering it. I'll leave the last couple of minutes up to you if you want to close with any final thoughts.
Thanks a lot for having us, Matt. We appreciate it. And yeah, for anybody who's looking for more information, by all means, reach out to the folks at D&H. We're also happy to help. Come on over to Cameo.com, ask us any questions you might have. Always happy to help out.
Yeah, as usual, everybody, this video will be on demand. I forgot to mention that. Usually that is within 24 hours. So if you came late and you want to watch the whole thing over again, you're welcome to. It will also be timestamped with the various video clips and things like that. So you'll be able to check those out at a future date. Corey, anything from Axcient? Any final thoughts?
Yeah. Thank you guys for having us on here. Really appreciate it. Yeah, again, if you have any questions, or if you'd like to get just a hands-on demo, or even your hands on the product, to walk you through a trial deployment, and reach out to your D&H rep, and I'll be happy to assist.
Awesome. Well, once again, thanks everybody. Thank you everybody watching the video today or watching it on demand. Let's hope for a better 2021 and a successful cloud practice moving forward. Thanks again, everyone. And until we see you next time, have a great one.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.